Matthews, and I'm here to give you an informative speech on how to start homeschooling your children. The decision of whether or not to homeschool is a very personal one. There's lots of things to consider, and all of the options can be overwhelming. But I promise you, with the proper time and attention, it can be a great experience for your entire family. There are many things to consider when you look at the idea of homeschooling. You want to decide how best to meet the child's needs, what kind of curriculum that you want to set up, and how to set up your classroom. One of the first questions that any mom or dad will ask themselves when thinking about homeschooling is, will my child learn enough if I keep them home, and will I be a good enough teacher? It's a legitimate fear about being a good enough teacher if you are not committed to the process of homeschooling your child. According to the Homeschool Progress Report of 2009, on average, homeschool students scored 37% better than children who went to public school, which I was astounded by those numbers. So if you're committed to all of the work that goes into homeschooling, your kid can absolutely learn enough. So socialization is really the most widespread fear that I've heard when people are talking about the reasons why they may not homeschool their children, and it's also the most unfounded. Phil Gianotti, a writer for NG.com, said that there are a number of options for homeschoolers to replace the assumed loss of socialization that scares off some parents. Depending on where you live, there's usually activity groups in your community that you can get in touch with, that they form PE groups and they go on field trips to science museums, and there are so many activities your kids can get involved in that a lot of times homeschool kids end up being more social than kids who go to public school. Many people look into homeschool for different reasons. Your child may be struggling, trying to figure out how to sort of fit into the regular classroom. Some people's kids aren't challenged enough and they need harder work. Some parents want a Bible-based education instead of a secular education. And some parents still feel that public school isn't safe enough. Whatever the reason is, once you've decided that homeschool is right for you and you begin to look into setting it up, there are lots of things to consider. The first thing that you need to address is curriculum. You need to think of three basic things when you're trying to pick your curriculum. You want to figure out what your child's learning style is, whether or not you want a Bible-based or secular curriculum, and whether or not you want a traditional classroom or you want a traditional classroom style curriculum, or if you want to create your own. As far as learning style, everybody learns differently. Some children are visual, some are hands-on learners, and some learn best when they hear things. In order to determine which style is best for your child, there is a quiz that you can actually take at scholastic.com that tells you fill out this questionnaire about your child, and it tells you what learning style would be best for your child. Once you've assessed your child's learning style, you need to decide whether or not you want a Bible-based curriculum or a secular-based curriculum. Those are the main two different types of curriculum. A Bible-based curriculum, all subjects will be based on Bible stories. So when you do like your English class, it'll give you, to correct grammar, it'll give you a Bible story. And then it usually also includes another Bible subject separate from your other subjects as well. And then of course a secular curriculum is going to be closer to what you find in the public school, and there won't be any mention of God or Jesus in the curriculum. And then you can also create your own curriculum. One of the best things about homeschooling is that you get to decide what your child will learn and when. Most people try to meet standards. They find out the standards for the city that they live in, so that when it comes time to apply for colleges and stuff like that, they can meet those test scores. But beyond that, the sky's really the limit. If it's raining out in the morning when you get up, you can decide that you want to teach your kid about precipitation and how it works. If your child shows a natural inclination for languages, you can start teaching your second grader Chinese if you want to. When you are the teacher, you get to decide, and it can be very tailored to your child's needs. So you've chosen a curriculum, now what do you do? you have to decide how you want to set up your classroom. Some people like to set up a separate room for school, like a traditional classroom. Some people just have their kids bring their books to the table and work at the dining room table every day. And depending on the curriculum that you've picked up, sometimes most of the work will be on the computer, and so you might find that most of your child's classroom time is spent in front of the computer. It's just based on what you do. But the parent who creates their own curriculum, the whole world really is their classroom. One day you might go to a museum, the next day you might visit a local farm and start teaching your child how to, where your food comes from. A trip to the grocery store can even be a lesson on how to create a meal plan or set up a budget. So all these real life lessons are just as important in this kind of curriculum as grammar lessons or spelling lessons. Whatever your reason for homeschooling, and no matter what kind of curriculum you choose or what kind of classroom you decide to work in, if you're devoted, you and your child will be richly rewarded in education and time spent together.